And we are live. A Wolfie hello, everyone. Hello, Lizzie. How are you today?
Hi. Hi, Charlotte. Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Let's see. Got a lot of people in the chat. We got you, of course. Hi again. Hope everyone is doing well in the cold weather. Yeah, it's not too bad here. Let me see here. PvP. Hello. Hi, birdies. Let's see. There's Leanna. Hi. Hey, birdie. And Leanna says hi. She missed you She missed you yesterday.
Yeah. My weekends are pretty tied up. Hi, Moore. Hi, Ezra. Hi, Liana. Hi, PvP.
And more. We got more in the chat. Hi,
And
more.
we got more. Hi, Moore. PvP.
Phoebe.
PvP.
Hi, Phoebe. Okay.
And we've got two. We've got Bobby and Lily, two baby kookaburras
Oh,
that fell
so
out of their nest. So yeah. Oh yeah, very cute. Feed on half of the hour.
Okay, so. Oh, Leanna. Just be a good girl. Take your walk as the nurses tell you to. It's good for your health. All right. Let's see. Alrighty. So, Lizzie, tell everybody what exactly, that you do, how you came to be, all that.
Okay. So I'm a choreographer and theatre director and writer. I also had done psych nursing and a couple of degrees. And because my parents were interested in theatre and we lived in remote communities, so we were involved in putting on events for the local folk and in North Queensland for the Indigenous people. And mother was into ballet and dad was into theatre and film. So yeah, unavoidable.
Yeah. You were also, you said to me in DMs, I thought you were saying you were into ballet and all that.
Yeah.
So were you a ballerina, or were you also like
Yes,
just a awesome,
yes,
awesome?
yes. So I started in ballet, classical ballet, when I was 9. And we were putting on events for the church at the same time, so it was a bit cross experience in theatre and dance. And then we trained up and we moved cities. And later I did it. Work with a professional company doing shows in schools. I did dance with the flamenco company. We used to sort of dance around the place, and uh, and professional theatre directing and acting when I sort of moment came up.
Nice.
Yes. So yeah,
What
and
was?
then we were in. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go
Then
ahead.
we were encouraged to. I didn't really do a degree when I left school, but I was working in industry. And in my late 20s, they said that they wanted us to do uh, a dance degree because we were with the dance company, and they were talking about our ongoing funding. But I sort of looked into it, and because I'd been dance training my whole life and trained in all the contemporary and um, cross cultural dance and so on, I chose drama, and I was probably in a couple of months, and I fell into directing. And I did some acting for the local amateur theatre companies in Adelaide, and also started with the flamenco group around about that time, just as a solo performer. So, and then the thing about the country life was that we had a ballet teacher come to the country, so we're looking at 400 miles into the desert on the other side of the range here, and also in North Queensland, which in the 60s, early 60s, they're all remote communities. So having anyone that did culture was the thing. Yeah, it helps people. You can reach people, and we put on ballet shows for the local town, and uh, and we put on carols by candlelight for the rest of it. When we weren't doing that. So, mm.
And then you went into animal rescue, right? So how did that, start out? How did that come to be?
Oh, we've always done it. Our family always rescued animals, and we had a lot of property with the church. And during the drought, the folk used to put their sheep and horses at our place. And of course, mum and dad organised a lot of things because in that time they were the main organisers for anything to do with people. And it was a remote, so it was quite a remote place. It didn't rain for 4 years, so there was a lot of animal rescue going on there, and people always used to put their animals at the church as well, like kitchen litters, anything else, just throw it at it. And so it started really young. It's just in regional areas, you end up it's a wilderness. They're all wilderness areas, so you come across wildlife here and there, and sometimes more difficult things aren't always available to folk in these remote areas. So it kind of goes to the go-to person, or someone's kind of got free enough to do it. Um, so yeah, birds are a recent addition to the household. In since about 2017 when we took a wild bird in. So just not,
Yeah.
nothing unusual about this house.
No, not at all. I like what PV said here. Culture has value. I agree.
Absolutely, and then with my dance, of course, Marcel Marceau is my hero, and Peter Brook, who did wonderful things with international casts and with simplicity of staging, and yeah, so that's my inspiration. But I met a man called Aldo Gennaro down in New South Wales when I was doing developmental disability nursing, and then dancing with the company. And he had come out, and he had done wonderful work with the differently able people, and he put on a show at the Sydney Opera House called Madame Butterfly, and then I met him probably a year after that, and so I worked with him a little bit, and then work, went to Adelaide, rejoined the company, and started my degrees. So uh, a lot of dance. It's very good for between cultural groups. I'm trained in Russian dancing and flamenco, but with the theatre, like the last show I did was started off with 6 differently able kids. This was in South Australia, and I just stumbled upon it, and then they waited for me to make up my mind, which was very kind. And then we had to build it for another 30 people in 3 months, and pull it together with different groups not coming to rehearsal at the same time. So there were 3 different groups who all came on a different day, and then I had to build the show so it looked like they were all together. So sometimes they were all together on the stage, and but they never rehearsed together until the tech run the week before
Mm-hmm.
the show. But I was fortunate. I had a very good crew, and a couple of guys from the Festival Theatre, and a designer who had travelled with Armstrong. And we tried to do as much as we could with as little as possible, because
Mm-hmm.
community theatre. Yeah, and of course we put in more hours, and then we made a film of it. So we put in a lot of hours that it's not you always show up, just the way of
Mm-hmm.
the arts. Yeah, the way that
Mm-hmm.
in the end, when you kick it up,
Yeah. Culture builds civilization. I agree, PvP.
Yeah.
He also said when schools cut band class and art class, it gets me very annoyed. Those classes build skills, confidence, and student friendships.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
I mean, art
mm.
is culture, and
That's right.
so is music. So it's just like the
That's
fact
right.
that being taken
That's
away,
right.
that's insane. That's
Mm.
insane.
And they tend to all land together sometimes,
Hmm.
especially in the theatre. And of course with dance and music, and with our Indigenous folk, they've been having lots of festivals. They've got a dance festival up north, but that involves all the musicians as well, and it
Hmm.
involves a whole bunch of other things, And then the art shows up. We've got different projects going around the country, but it is important because it passes on and shares knowledge, and it brings people together in peace. That's the same thing. That's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. It's very sad how this world's starting to turn out to be, or has been going at it for a few years. Things have been lost, and it's, yeah, I agree. Leanna goes, Leanna here, I love class. I tried playing the flute in high school, never could get the knack. PvP, be careful. Don't do the American Pie reference. Uh,
Yeah.
I always played the piano, and well, the first instrument I played was the recorder. My mom made an effort that during my time as I was homeschooled that I learned an instrument, at least one. So she taught me the recorder, and she had a book, and she would teach me. And then she made me do piano at 14, and I self-taught myself the piano with books because she didn't know how to do it. And I did pretty well.
Yeah.
I think I was intermediate level, which was surprising for my mom that I made it that far. And then I kind of gave up. It wasn't much I didn't give up. I just writing took over, and I just went and did it. So like what instruments have you ever played an instrument, or what instruments have you
Yes,
played?
that. The piano, sweetie. Yeah. My of course, in the church we had all the organs, but my dad's sister sent her own beautiful piano, a German 100-year-old piece, obviously family thing, out to 400 miles into the desert for us, and that was my go-to for everything. And I ended up sort of sliding out of classical and into contemporary, so I just played by ear. Yeah, because if I heard blowing, I got the first song I heard I think was Johnny Cash. I
Oh,
walked
yeah.
the line, and that was pretty easy. That's like a couple of chords. I thought, oh, yeah, I can play that, and then blowing in the wind. Oh, yeah, that's not too bad. C major, G, yeah. And then I think they decided to give up on teaching me classical and went into folk music.
Yeah. Who doesn't love folk
So,
music?
but yeah,
Speaking of classical music, I was curious, of all the classical artists, Mozart, Beethoven, etc., what artist like speaks out to you the most and why?
yeah. Well, ballet dancer, Tchaikovsky, uh, because he wrote the music also at a time of dramatic cultural change. He made sure that there was a full orchestra, and it was music that reminded people of their dancing culture and moved them into another thing. And then he wrote for ballet as well. But it was a huge time of change. Uh, and one of, Diaghilev, Diaghilev's took Pavlova and Nijinsky over to Paris, and they worked from over in France. And the company, as a Russian company, never made it back, and they were working outside. But their uh, understanding of classical music and the fact that it developed, and Tchaikovsky, and then of course London Ballet and French Ballet, because ballet was in theatre, like you see in the Phantom. You can see the ballet, and they do it. So, oh yes, not quite right. And then later, these dancers came out and went to in London, and everyone welcomed them because it's dance. And the ballets come from European folklore. So Tchaikovsky adapted, just so for example, adapted his music to the story and the project that was being suggested to him, as well as the music he used. They adapted it to stage as well, and so of course I like all of them, but I probably would, as a dancer, would go. He'd be the go-to for classical. I teach classical with the kids.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, because the waltz of the flowers, it dances, and music. Contemporary ballets are more abstract, so you can use abstract music. But then, the contemporary musicians who are around, working with keyboards and scissor. I heard someone the other day who just was up there with what I would choose for a contemporary piece of work, because the music has to have some suggestion of dance, and then you've got to think of your audience.
Hmm.
Your reach, you've got to pay for it. It's a creative enterprise that has, innovation that has to be funded, but it has a whole cast and crew, musicians, stage crew are the most, you know, you please them, you're happy, you have to please them because they make the show run. So that, there's a whole lot of industries that come within the arts, and occasionally they go together.
Hmm. Yeah, totally.
Mm,
I think for me, I think wisely here. I love Beethoven.
yeah.
Beethoven, to me, his life is tragic. Now, if anybody does not know the
Mm,
life of Beethoven, you have to read it. It is so tragic. because you can hear in the patterns of his music. I think I love that for all artists, classical
Mm,
musicians. You
mm,
can hear their lives in their music and how they vibed. When
yes.
it got to the nearer end of his life, he was deaf, also going deaf, and I think his lover died tragically, and you can hear the pain and the sorrow and the feeling like he's kind of alone and he's just sad,
Mm,
and he knows that the end is coming and he never got to live happily. You can tell the hopelessness and helplessness of
yes.
the music, and it's beautiful to me because it touches a part of you
Mm,
that's like, you feel that way, you listen to it and it's like you resonate with it, and it helps you. And when I was writing my stuff,
yes.
I always listened to some classical music, and Beethoven was one of them. Paganini was another one.
Yes.
AK, yeah,
Lovely.
he's
Mm,
AKA known as the devil's pianist, but that is a rumor that he plays so beautifully they thought he sold his soul to the devil, but it's not really true. I don't think it's true.
uh,
It's not
no,
true.
no.
That can't be true. But that is so yeah. Any Christians here? He's not. He did not sell his soul to the devil. He didn't. Um, but Paganini was another one, and Chopin was another one. He has more upbeat,
Yes.
I think. Or was it Handel? I think it was
Yes.
Chopin. But
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
and Mozart is good. I think everybody says Mozart as their favorite. Like most people, if they ever think of a classical artist, they think Mozart because he's the head of that. Usually, he's one of the head people of that, and yeah, it's just beautiful. I love classical music in general, but I would say Beethoven would be the one that resonates the
Yeah.
most with me.
Yeah. Definitely the king, you know. And the and then we look at their times. I think the best the best arts comes from the heart and the soul, and you can tell it's life form by how long it continues. Yeah, and we've had many times in the last 500 years, where things have slipped by, and we've had things that but as a creative civilization and our memory and our oral law and how we work together, because it's always been the key. Before there was this is great for people like me in a remote land. Um, but yeah, it just passes on knowledge and understanding, I think, and it shows in with the music and particularly acting and theatre and dance, uh, the uh, the emotional and psychological relationship between people, and
Yeah,
and it puts it on a platform that transforms it into your mind. Yeah.
yeah, totally. That's why I always get upset. Like even with PvP was talking in the beginning of the stream, how schools were taking this stuff out. It's
Right.
basically just robbing us of our humanity, what makes us the most human of expression and bonding, and
Yeah.
like what you say, the psychology of humanity, what brings civilization together.
Mm,
It's very depressing, to be honest. And
that's right.
just,
But before they had it in the schools, um, uh, the folk would relate more to the professional people in the field. Uh,
mhm,
Say, for example, before they put drama in the schools, we were the go-to people.
mhm,
We still are, you know. But if you can get the kids when they come out of school and they haven't like changed their mind about it, but it always takes experience with different. It's like with working any time in the arts. You're as good as your relationships and your integrity between those people and how you work together. A lot of people that I've worked with have had no training and they've walked onto my stage and I've had to, train them up, teach them to work together. You know, two 30-member groups I had were illiterate.
mhm.
Uh, and those kids, the other group of kids, were just from kids in the Riverland remote area who left school early and managed to leave without learning how to read and write.
Yeah.
So they came to the theatre. We set up the theatre in the bush. Martin set it up in the Riverland. He set it up with the government. The kids came, uh, you know, a 32-hour week. They worked as professionals. I went up and did some work with them. And two of those boys who had the most difficulty at home at the time ended up high paid jobs in the industry. So where the schools, where there is a gap, then we step in. And as I know that one of the other music channels that I'm on, a lovely musician goes down and he goes down to the animal refuge and he plays music for the folk. And I include the animals when I say the folk. And and everyone who works there. So, and then with our kind of work, with my kind of work, it came from the community. They can access funding if they hire a professional person, and they get special funding, and that's how it's done. Yeah, anything else, because even like if we did art at school, it was basically the teacher said, "Oh, we all need to settle down. We did some art." But we didn't actually learn art at school. It's just that when you start school, you discipline the mind into art, which I love, but I'm not a great artist. I get other people to do the thing, but
Mm-hmm.
it's about, and I think you could see that it will bring people together. It's like this is walking into a hall full of people of great talent, which I do a lot in real life. But it, but then if you expand, and how can we make, how can we help? That's the question. How can we help uh, uh, make people feel better? And because we have working in the entertainment industry, and I include all the arts, because I've written extensively about art galleries around the country, rather than I could have written about theatre. Uh, it all is a form of history and communication, and it makes people happy generally, if it, depending on the stuff. But and then because we've got skills that we've learnt, say for example your piano work, and they then you can work with people who haven't had any formal training because they might not have the access to money, and most people haven't. I was lucky. I grew up in a classical environment. My dad had me playing the church organ at 11. I just play something for the wedding. I thought, oh, yeah. So, so that's where we are now. And there's always been difficult times. Like the musicians we were talking about were born into 400 years of extreme disruption and dislocation of people and culture. And then, then they reformed. We've got a lot of Greek community here who I hang out with, of course, with my Indigenous folk, and a lot of people came here. And then within that, it's like my Russian dancing. Went to school with the girl who was at Russian school. She went home and she said, "There's a ballerina at school. Send her up," he said. So I went up, and he was actually a ballet teacher who'd come out as a refugee uh, to work on our bridges and build up the labour which we'd lost, and and then set up the club so the folk could have somewhere to hang out. And of course, it had everything. And they had the Russian dances. He said, "Darling, I'll teach you the Dying Swan if you come and dance for us." So I couldn't knock that deal.
Yeah, you
And then I
couldn't.
just did the dance at school, and the kids at school, hundreds of them never saw classical ballet except when that happened. So that takes it back to the source in a way, I guess.
Yeah. And it's so funny because, we talked about how the disruption of, civilization, like I
Yeah,
think war is a massive disruption in
yes,
society. And it is, I always enjoy the fact that, music, like these people would do like these bands for the war folk, the soldiers. and
Mhm.
it was to get their minds away from the trauma they've seen or the fear of what's going to happen. And they would always play music, and like people like Bing Crosby. I think it was Bing Crosby. I would assume it's Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
And other
They all, yeah,
music
that's
people.
right.
Yeah,
They all went out there to the folk because it's an extremely dangerous environment. And
yeah,
no, a great well-paid musician needs to go over there. But during, you've got stuff on your old-time radio shows where a lot of the actors and radio people who were singers and comedians went out to the war zones. They flew them in the choppers, and they did performances. Marilyn went out there, you know,
hmm,
dear heart, and so many of the folk. And fortunately, we had, the wonderful inventors who invented radio and film cameras
yeah,
uh, and then thank God these phones,
yeah,
to record it all. Otherwise, we would have lost it as well. So we got the memory, and they show us how to do it.
yeah. They were they sparked the future. Let me see what's going on in the chat. My God, there's a lot of chatter going on. Let me see how
I
far
can't
we're
see.
going up
I'm not
here.
looking at you.
Let me see. Okay, I'm way up here. Okay. Well, even though it's not directed to you, do you like
Hmm.
David Bowie, Lizzie? Like, you like
Oh, of
David Bowie?
course, of
He's amazing.
course.
My
Oh, we
gosh.
love Bowie. Yes, he's another one of those folk
Yeah.
like Tchaikovsky, Beethoven. I remember the first time I heard Bowie. I think was when I went to the films. Um, I didn't hear like a lot of popular music till I was 19, but Bowie, and particularly his finesse and the way he worked with people and his interest in going out to the edge and reimagining and imagining something that we couldn't see.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm.
And
Not
his
to mention
perform.
his stunning musicianship. Yeah,
Yeah. I always loved his
yeah,
eras too. Like I always loved how he had his beginning era and how he transformed. And I think PvP once said it like how he is a it's he's like a dramatic actor in what he does.
yes,
Something it's he's telling a story than just putting out
mm,
just songs. He's telling a beautiful story, and I actually
yes,
love that. And I think Taylor Swift. A lot of people will cringe for me to say Taylor Swift, but Taylor Swift has done that pretty well too because
yes,
she how she started out was
yes,
country obviously, but then she decided
yes,
I want to get more into who I want to become, evolving, and her music was
mm,
never the same in every album, and
mm,
it was beautiful.
yes.
What is your
Mm.
view on Taylor Swift?
Oh well, I hadn't had. I've been flat out with what I've been doing in the last few years, and I hadn't seen much. I'd selected what I was seeing just by accident, and then I caught her show in Sydney, um, and I was impressed. First of all, it's actually highly physically demanding to dance and sing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fed up playing and singing at the same time. And also, there is being on stage is quite a dangerous place again. But the thing I noticed most was her audience were, teenagers. It was pretty interesting. It was light. It flowed along. It was uplifting. I couldn't quite. I hadn't heard the songs enough to know the songs. I like it when she plays acoustic guitar and just sings. The
Mm-hmm.
less static. But I like to see artists who can get the kids who aren't the rough, who aren't, out there, and they just want somewhere to go and socialise and go out, because going out isn't what it used to be. Like, going out for me was, going to the local movies, or maybe going to the shop, and church, of course, but or the ballet. We used to go to the ballet, but and to see that all the kids were being looked after, they were all quite happy. Of course, managing crowds is a job of the promoter, not the artist. So the safety of stadiums is worth looking at a little bit more closely. We grew up in the theatre, and of course the stadiums came in, like with Live Aid, and with the wanting to accommodate more people. But we have theatres too. We can build fairly large places and maybe do a few more gigs. For some of the other folk, to be able to move the show around. Like, if you live in the city, so the big stadiums are okay. I'm not making a judgment on the whole thing, but I liked the fact that she attracted a certain audience and provided entertainment for that group, because there's something for everyone and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't make any. I kind of, but I like Billie Eilish as a contemporary artist as well, and she's totally different. And I like her for everything that she is and represents, the way she. I like her funky clothes. I'd like to dress like that. Um, it's elegant and respectful, and adapts to all cultures. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just that organic kind of artist, and her music is very uh, universal. If should I say, it goes beyond, because it looks back at her at the earth, and makes a comment, and that's probably what I have in common with her music. But I like Taylor for her for what she does, yeah, and it's people who any kind of art, dance, you always saw in the morning, and those people will be, because that's the nature of working on the stage for 4 hours, and it'll be another 10 before that. So each day starts at 10, and it goes through till 12.
Mm-hmm.
The highly physically active stuff. So yeah, you never see me. I just encourage performing arts in general, and if they're good quality and they keep the peace, well, I'm right behind them. Or,
Yeah.
or and I watch it on TV because I'm a bit over the stadium thing. The first stadium concert I saw was in the cricket ground in Sydney, Bob Dylan. Before that, I'd only been to the theatre, so that's probably why theatre's ingrained in me. But I just like, here we've got a big wide country. It's lots of desert, and we just need more large transformable buildings so the folk in the bush can, and the kids in Alice Springs, where the remote communities can operate. More entrepreneurship needs to go into the arts. People work together better.
Do you think
But I'm old and grumpy, I can say
oh, you're not. No. I was gonna say you're delightful. We love you.
that.
What I was gonna say here is, do you believe that every child should follow their passion and that passion be what they live for in their lives? Like it
Well,
defines them.
uh, I think to be passionate about life is the first thing. To be passionate about, and passion's a sort of a loose word, probably a word I wouldn't use very often, because I like the word, I like the lingo of your generation though. I can get behind that. It's more the spirit of how you look at life, your belief system, how we work together compassionately, and we try our best to build peaceful relations, and that's the bottom line, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, because my mom always, I don't know if she always knew that I was going to be a writer, but in the beginning I was more of a math person. I could solve very very tough problems, formulas and stuff. I could memorize long formulas of geometric shapes and how to solve them and how to know their area, their surface area, all that. But then I got into writing more, and she would always give me these books. She always gave me books. She was very well equipped with that, and I don't know, writing just took over.
Hi, Ma.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Lizzie says hello, Mama. Lizzie says
Hi,
hi.
Ma.
There she is. But yeah, I think she knew, she had to know somehow. I don't know, but I always kept with writing. I always tried, and oh my god, Mama, you don't need to be mean right now. Okay, she's trying to be mean. I'm not letting her take over. Anyway, I can say
Let's
what she
do
said
something.
though. She probably wants me to do it anyway. She goes, she knew that writing was the only way to keep me quiet, so I wouldn't read.
Right.
And reading, so oh
Yeah,
god,
and
Mom.
that's really good. That's really good. See, we didn't have television where we were. I didn't see television until, except in a hotel we were traveling, and I was about probably nine, very young, and I saw Psycho, and I think that
Oh yeah.
I never handled showers after that. But they generally we didn't have television, so it was like theatre and radio. And then, but we had a library. Um, and I think, if you can grow up in a situation where you're lucky enough to have parents who have got some, want to encourage their cultural education, and whether you want to be an astronaut or whether you want to be a fireman or a ballerina or whatever, it's all you know a matter of opportunity and training, and but some people don't have it, and that's where we come in, as professional people down the track. So, before there was schools, there was ballet classes, and there was this. We had of course, very cheap, but still, nonetheless, it's still all out there, and I think I like the internet for that. That you can actually do it. See, the kids that we hung out with, uh, our Indigenous kids weren't allowed into school until we got to town, and and Ma and Pa got the people out from Brisbane. We went and talked to the school because they weren't citizens till 1969 after your dear Dr. King, and they they had nothing, you know. So we got them into schools, and we supported them. We make sure they ate, and we would come to our place for food before, during, and after school, and and of course I had books, and some of the kids down a certain place saw that book, and that lady went on to become a great Indigenous leader and highly educated person in Australia, because she happened to pick up that book, and I left it in the chair. She happened to pick up that book and read it and said, "Oh, I can see beyond that." Yeah, and she just went, and she's a leader here in this country now. But you just
Nice.
don't know what's going to happen. So it's more that you can have certain interests in and passions for things, and the only reason you have it is because you like it, and you focus on it. Like, I
Yes.
like maths, but I can't do maths, so it's a little bit sort of outside the square, but
Hey. Yeah.
it depends on what you are interested in doing. And I think that as a society, having museums, art galleries, fairs, any cultural event, or any absolutely educational event, of course, the bottom line in any society is housing and health.
Yes.
And then you can go to school, and then
Mhm.
you can go and do, some amateur theatre, some acting at the local theatre, because you've got a house, and you've got food, and you've got good medicine, which is our right. And if you look after simple, most basic things in a because you can tell I've got a degree in international politics.
Yeah.
Carry on a bit, but you know, I see that there is a sort of a floundering as to what are we going to do, and it's just because we don't sit around the hall and drink tea and talk like we used to. And these kind of platforms are really, really helpful. And I always thought didn't even know the internet would exist in 1987, you know.
Mhm.
And now we've got this, we can build across the countries, across the sea, you know. So it's yeah. Sorry, folks.
I was curious, Lizzie, do you have like a journalist site or something like that? Like you do you type what you believe and
Oh,
stuff?
no, because I'm, uh, been too busy mowing lawns for the last few years. But I wasn't. I'd never learnt the internet very well. In fact, my few of my degrees are done longhand, but I was a bit slow learning how to set up a website, and different folk kind of gave me instructions, but I just kept running out of time. And I'm always been someone that deals with the stuff, projects as they happen, and forget to do the other bits. But we're looking at, but I'm looking at
Mhm.
setting up so folk can read um, some of my work, and but some of that work is fiction, and that we're looking at publishing for that because they're war and peace, and there's a couple of culture building stories there. But yeah, so they're serious, need serious handling, I think,
Because I was
because it's a
thinking,
topic.
because I use Substack, and I
Okay,
write my stuff, and I think it's very easy for you to operate. You don't need to do anything. It's just a platform where you just type out, what you believe in, what you think,
okay,
or how you think that. I'll send you the link
yeah,
to it. It's very easy, and
yeah,
if you're interested in that at all, and that's if you are.
yeah,
Um, I actually write there my journalism lately there. If I'm not writing songs,
mm,
I'm there writing, and so it's pretty cool. I'll send that to you.
yeah.
I would love to read your
Well,
works sometime.
yeah, I think that well, basically that's been down to a lovely, lovely person over there friended me up and has been helping with my PC. If I hadn't moved, I probably would have got a new one when I was about to, and
Mm-hmm.
then I had to move, so there's 10 grand out the window. But
Mm-hmm.
so now we're struggling, absolutely struggling, getting this thing booted up with the bigger screen and all my work, because I need something with a fair amount of grunt to tidy some stuff up. But most of all the writing has come, oh, except for side projects, and the one I'm doing now is come from university. So
Mm-hmm.
in meeting university, requirements for the degrees and so on, they had us write, and and sitting down writing's not easy for a dancer or for someone that's highly physical environment. I do scuba diving as well, so I'm very outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And into the moving about kind of setup. And so is directing theatre, moving about, even though we do have to read scripts and account books and things. But yeah, uh, so I'm looking at actually how to do that and see what the publisher said, because in a way, what I think is my YouTube channel. The photos are a bit behind at the moment because we've had not getting kicked out of the house issues here for paying rent and stuff, meeting
Mm-hmm.
the cost of living, which is everyone's problem. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so and then of course coming to extremely hot summer.
Mm-hmm.
But so I've been a bit slow with the photos. I'm shifting data from phone to phone and things like that. But then while I'm just sitting around, I go, okay, I come across uh, some music or a film or something I like that's not coming up in the usual things. Like, Moore does great stuff on her channel with Old Time Radio, and she also does excellent art representation and so on. So it all our work, everything we do we're doing when we're not doing something else instead. And the YouTube channel that I have and the music I post there represents how I think.
Hmm.
So if I put Jacques Cousteau up, who is my absolute, and John Denver, Jacques Cousteau, of course, my absolute hero in the world, aside from Gandhi and Mandela and Dr. King, and the astronauts. When you scroll through it, you can actually see that's what I'm into, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but now I just looking after two baby kookaburras who I was told were honey eaters, and now I'm looking at, well, they look like kookaburras, and they might want me to go and hunt snakes from, which I'm not, of course. And they can't be released into the wild, so we're going, well, we might have to buy a bit of land and convert a shearing shed and set it up.
Yeah. God, those
We'll put a
birds
stage out. We'll put a stage on the property so you all can come and see.
are. Aw.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay. PvP. I spent 4 years earning my bachelor's in fine arts, majoring in painting. Best 4 years of my life. Met so many interesting folk.
Yeah,
Very
that's it.
cool.
And that's what people don't real. That going to university. Well, basically, music, ballet, and theatre, and going to university saved my life, I would say. And scuba diving changed it. Because it's very quiet down there, and you notice how clean the water is or isn't. But yeah, it definitely you meet people, and then later those people go and do things. I see some of those people popping up doing great, wonderful things in our North Country with the musicians, and all over the place in film. Yeah, Russell and was it Nicole and Hugh Jackman, people like that. They went to NIDA. They all
Mhm.
met. They met Baz, and years, decades later, they come back and work together again. But the other thing about you mentioned about passion of a thing, it's always good to, I think, if you can to diversify and understand that life can change any minute
Mhm.
uh, with things, and being able to adapt to
Yeah.
looking at where things are. Yeah.
Mhm. And knowing the era, the surroundings, the environment. I totally agree.
Yeah, definitely have to be mindful of the environment. Here
Yeah.
we've got brown snakes. I think you've got a few other issues over there. I didn't know there were bears there when I was wandering the marshes of Carolinas, but I got out of it lightly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's Okay, DJ Play Nice, stopping by to say hi and thumbs up the live. Have a great show. Let's rock. Heck yeah. And he's also said, chat, be safe, have fun, take care of your crew, and rock. Yes. Yeah,
Oh yeah, wasn't
let's rock.
it?
Let's see. Coco, hello. It's been a long time. No see. I'm really enjoying this talk. It is a great talk. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Let's see. Okay, PvP. Have you ever seen Disney's original Fantasia? Animation put to classical music. I saw it in a theater. Good film. Nice intro for kids to hear that music. And he also goes,
Absolutely.
he goes, my favorite part is the last part, a night on Bald Mountain. Still
Uh,
scary.
well, of course, it was fantastic and thrilling when it came out, and yes, we did see it in the theatre, which I love theatres. They're nice and quiet. They got good sound systems, big screen, popcorn, the whole thing, and it was fantastic. And of course, Fantasia, it came from an earlier composition of music and the ballets and all that kind of thing, and the book and of course the that turn of the century books that wrote about the animals, and they were influenced by perhaps a little bit more colonial things, But you'll see on Moore's channel, we've got a few shows there where the artists, before cameras, before all that, the artists documented the wildlife, and and then with Fantasia, there's things like they build images, but the classical music definitely anything that gets folk to listen to classical music to go. That's what we do in ballet. Yeah, and of course the youth orchestras across the world. Here they have the youth orchestras independent of the schools, and it's funded by the state and supported by the Department for the Arts, and of course the conservatoriums as well. And then the kids come in. Really, say if you had the violin or the piano and you wanted to say, "I want to be with the folk who play the orchestra over in Austria, and you can foster your art, and you might go away, and then you might come back to it. You see a lot of the musicians around at the moment. They did stuff, they went away, they did something, and they come back, and then they're going helping the young folk. That's the thing.
Wasn't Fantasia also the one with the hippo wearing a tutu, and then there's the alligator trying to? I don't know why that's in my mind right now. It's just like, oh my.
Well, yeah. Well, it's actually a quite interesting film in the artists of Disney, and Disney's took the artists who originally were, in Disney when they started off, come from advertising, come from different other industries. They were independent artists themselves. Some of them, worked in the industry because everything was done by hand until you had the camera, and then you got the camera. But a lot of, movie posters you'll see are still artwork, and they took, but those again, those stories come from the written word. They come from some writer's imagination, just about all of it. And then what you do when you're translating something to film, you've got to think, how can I, translate and transform this piece into what's going to work on the screen, like The Lion King, or any show like Moore was saying, Oliver. A lot of shows have stuff that doesn't make it to the commercial show, but you've got to cut and edit at some point, and that's where you have to be humble, and you've got to be able to say, well, this we can't do this right now. We're going to have to do something else, and and where that skill comes in is like I said with that show, shape shifting it all the time to where it actually worked, and then people never realised it was going to be what it was, but we made the film, and so we won anyway. But and all the kids who were in it, some of those kids had real difficulty, particularly the autistic, not people that had all symptoms of autism combined with other things, because no one is one thing. It's just a combination of things. But it made difficult for them to move into, say, go down to the amateur theatre, place and hang out with the retirees that come from somewhere and unrelated to performing arts, and give them a bad experience, or not. I'm not saying that happens, but it takes particular care, because you want the young folk and people who are disadvantaged to have a place where they can have fun, they can be creative. These kids actually wrote the original script themselves with a writer. They said, we want to do this with it, and she wrote the story. It was based on the Diary of Anne Frank and Diary of Anne Frank's poetry, and then they were going to have a show, and things just happened, and then they finally ended up finding me, put an ad in the paper of all places, and and then I came in and I pulled the whole thing together because it had a whole music score that went with it. So it was basically just fitting the show into the music score. So,
Okay.
so have hope in what you do, that what you're doing now isn't always what we do because it's a creative industry,
Hmm.
like writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PvP. That's why I still have to work. I didn't think about money matters when I was young. Yeah, money matters in a way, you know.
Yeah.
That's you're gonna do all right, PvP. You'll do fine. Let's
Yeah.
see. Okay, Liana here, Lizzie, next panel stream, which will be after this actually. Whenever that is, Jay has your Johnny Cash song ready, I think. I like it.
Okie dokie. Yeah.
So yeah.
Fantastic. And yeah, I had a busy weekend and I'm always busy and unavailable on the weekends. But yeah, that sounds pretty good. We've got the place tidied up. We're dressed. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Mhm.
The birds, I'm trying to teach the birds to eat out of a bowl, which is a challenge. You know,
Mhm.
they're only really tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Are you
important because birds, you teach them something once, they learn it straight away.
mhm. I know my aunt owns this what is it, Mom? Oh, what was Maja again? Cockatoos? Is it cockatoo? Okay, she has like a big white cockatoo that's like over 20 years
Oh,
old, possibly 30 now. And I remember
oh.
that bird being such a nuisance to my aunt because she would try to feed it grapes and it wouldn't snap, wouldn't hold on to the grape and it would just fall to the cage. She's like, oh my God, just please. And
Well,
she kept it, she
that's a
kept
good
it with the,
thing.
yeah, she kept it with the cats because she also raised cat kittens and she's actually a cat breeder. And so it would be meowing all the time because it learned it from the cats all the time. And so it's like she goes, yeah, it's a bird version of a cat going on.
Yeah. Well, 'cause Fifi has conversations, so that's a challenge, speaking parrot.
Hmm. Yeah.
Lucky I speak several languages that I don't know I speak until I have to speak them, like parrot.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was Nick Cage. If Nick Cage actually had a bird and that bird just called him an a-hole all the time. He goes, I have no idea what I did to offend that bird, but that bird hates me. And every time I enter the room, it just says a-hole at me. Like, okay.
Yeah, it might have picked it up. It might have been, might have been watching, you know, too many too many like streets, So she could have heard the language and just picked it up. Like
Hmm.
Fifi, I've got to watch her because but to what I say around her, but she's not. When I adopted her, they said, oh, she talks. I said, oh, that's good. Most birds can, but they were meaning human talk, of course. And then, but she doesn't repeat words. She just has a conversation, and then interprets what's happening around to whatever she knows. Which was 46 years of someone before she came to live in this place.
She absorbs a lot of culture, a lot of everything. Birds are
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, she's become her own person because because they adapt and they continually use their IQ to exist, which is what I like.
Okay, so I think we should wrap this up. There'll be another stream after this,
Okay,
Lizzie. If you want to join in that and hear Jay
okay,
sing your song, we can do that. It
okay.
was it was so fun to talk with you today. I'm so glad we managed to set this up and great topics. We talked a lot of great things. I hope you enjoyed yourself too. I mean,
Thank
uh,
you. Yeah,
and if you want to do this again, feel free to hit me up. This was actually your first, you know, talk, right?
yes,
Yeah, you
yes,
did
yes.
great. You did great. You did great.
Thank you.
Um, thank you everybody who came into the chat. Please do subscribe to Lizi Armstrong. Here is her channel right here. Feel free to sub. She's worth it. A lot of great content there.
Shout out to
And
Ezra and his family, who we're
yes.
working on some stuff.
And also do sub to more. I got her link in
Oh,
the
yeah.
chat. Sub to her, Old Time Radio, all that stuff. Very great content. She's worth the
Awesome.
follow. Okay.
Yeah.
And also PvP sent you something here. I'm gonna see if I could copy. Well, I have to,
Encouragement.
yeah, it's based on Fantasia. I'll send it to you after the stream.
You send it to me in the Discord. Oh, yeah, thanks, sweetie.
I will say
Thank
I
you.
will send
Thank
it.
you,
I will send
PvP.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
we introduce these kookaburras to some fantasy.
Okay. Everybody, have a great day and see you in the next stream after this. I gotta set it up. I forgot about it. All right, everybody. Love and
Okay.
peace. Take care. Bye.